So system calls, how it is going to be generated, where it is going to be used, how you are going to switch over from user mode to kernel mode. The same thing is briefed once again here. So it's a programming interface to the services provided by the OS. So it is going to provide an interface. The OS will decide whether I will execute the instruction in user mode or kernel mode based on the system call initiation. Fine. Typically written in high level language. So to initiate system call also you are going to write some code here. So using C or C++ you can write. So mostly accessed by programs via high level application. So we go C is a high level language, right? So we go for high level language application. Now what is that application name called? Program Interface API. So when I come to the system calls, now I'll call the interface name as program interface. Before I use CLI, GUI, all that. Now with respect to system call, the name of the application interface is program interface, application program interface. So API stands for application program interface rather than direct system call use. So we use this. Three most common APIs. What are those? We have in Windows called Win32 API, POSIX API is there, then Unix is there, Linux operating system is there, Mac OS, Java API is there. All these will be using one every semester based on the subjects, whatever the course you have. You will be dealing with all these different operating systems. So this is Java API is used for the Java virtual machine. Fine. So why use APIs rather than system calls, that we'll be discussing in detail. Note that the system call names used throughout this text are generic. Fine. System call will be using many times. Okay. Next slide. So I'll explain the example of system calls. How the system call sequence to copy the contents of one file to another file. You assume that you will initiate a system call when you want to copy a data from a source file to destination file. You have one file at one system, you can assume. From here you want to transfer a data to the another system. It's a destination file. So you are copying the data from one of the file in system 1 that you are transferring, and you are going to store it to one of the file in the system 2. Fine. So how is it done? So here is an example of that sequence of steps done via the system call. So example of system call sequence. First, what actually it does? Acquire input file name. First, it should know which file you want to read the data. So it will acquire the file name. File name must be mentioned now. Write prompt to screen. So then it will display the prompt to accept the file name. Next, it will accept the input. So whatever the file name it want to access the data, that will be done. Next, acquire output file name. Now the next question is where it has to transfer the data. It has to know the file name of destination also. So it will ask for output file name. Then it will display the prompt. Now accept the input. Whatever the name given by the user, that will be accepted. File name of destination. Next, open the input file. First file name, it has to copy the data, no? If the file does not exist, then obviously there is error generated, then it will abort. Then what? Create the output file. Now, whatever, if at all, if the file exists, then it can copy it, right? If file exists, create the output file. If file exists, then abort. And it is in the loop. That means what it is performing operation. It is reading the data one by one, line 1, line 2, line 3. Once the read operation is done, it will write to output file. Output file means destination file. Until read fails, it will continue with the operation. Once read fails means it has finished, otherwise maybe there is no file at all. So once the read operation is done, it will close the complete read operation as well as write operation. The write operation is continued till the last step of the read operation. Once all the steps are done, then write is also done. Now close the output file. Destination file is closed. Write completion message to screen. The job is done. It will display the message that write operation is done. Now if everything is done, you can terminate the system. Terminate normally because no error generated. If at all file does not exist, obviously it will terminate with the abnormal operation. These are the different types of system calls that OS will handle. What are those? With respect to process control. Process itself is a program, right? Then the file management. So when we store the data, how is that file? It will give the access for the user. How is that file management? Because the OS will not only act as the intermediate between the user and the computer hardware. It will not only allocate the resource, it will not only act as interrupt driven, it also performs several operations such as storage management, memory management, process management, all that, and it provides protection, security. So OS plays a major role here, fine. So these are the types of system calls the OS will come across. What are those? Process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, and the last one is communications. So these are 5 types of system calls we are supposed to study in detail. So let us start one by one. So here we have an example for each of this. So let us start with the first one, MS-DOS execution. MS-DOS is an operating system, Microsoft Disk Operating System. I think you would have heard about this. So this is an operating system which was introduced initially. Fine. Here in this operating system, we usually this operating system allows the commands, whatever the user wants to operate with the system. No, it will allow the user to operate via the keyboard. That means, say for example, use some keys now, F1, F2, F5. Instead of using mouse, we used to go for the keyboard only. Whatever the command you want to give, we are allowed to apply those commands. We are allowed to give the input through these commands. That is called as MS-DOS operating system. So not necessary to go through with the basics and all. Just see this structure here. So here we have how the MS-DOS execution take place when the system start up and during when the system is in the running state. The diagram A shows how is that MS-DOS will perform the startup of the system, and diagram B shows how is the MS-DOS will handle the program when it is in the running state. So first one, what are the blocks we have? There are 3 blocks here. Firstly, before starting the program execution, first we should see whether the memory is free, whether there is enough space in the memory. So if anything is there, if whatever the program you have already done, the previous data, if anything is there, that you can remove it, you can overwrite, or you can free up, right? So you delete it, so that your memory will be free. So then command interpreter, why you have to go for, there are 2 types of interface. Last class we have discussed, no? Command line interface and what is that? GUI, graphical user interface. So command line interface is used for processing what are the input you give in the word form, in the text form, right? So these are used to whatever the user will write the program, that is going to be interfaced by command interpreter. Then we have a kernel. Kernel itself is one of the mode of the operating system operation where the CPU is going to execute the required instruction. Fine. So these are the different layers which are initiated in the first step in the diagram A. So in the second step in the diagram B, let us start the program execution now. So now we have another one block is included here. Along with the memory, the very next step here is the process, the program. The CPU will execute the program in this block. So what are the blocks we have in diagram 2? Free memory. Now see here, some of the memory space is used now for the process. The rest of the memory can be utilized later. So process is in the running state now. You are executing the program. Fine. Now command interpreter, he is taking care of processing all these commands or whatever the instruction you have written in the program. Kernel is the one who is coordinating all the resources so that you can complete the execution. Followed, students? Shall I go to the next slide? Students, are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So different types of operating system here shown how it is going to handle. Here in this MS-DOS we studied only to handle one process. Now we have the next type of process, FreeBSD. What is BSD? Stands for Berkeley Software Distribution. This is one kind of operating system. And BSD operating system is developed by University of California in this place, Berkeley. It is one of the place, fine. So where this operating system was developed initially. So this is an operating system which is used in, it can be used in the modern servers. Servers we have studied now, client server model. Servers it is going to be used, and it can be used in desktops, and it can be used in so many embedded kind of operating system, embedded type of systems where we use the CPUs, whatever the embedded system is what real-time operation, fine. So here in this example we can see how to handle multiple processes. When I have more than one program to execute, then I will prefer BSD. So what are the different processes I have here? I have one of the programs, say process D. Next I have process C. Next I have process B. So how is it OS? Kernel will execute each of these processes. So OS will execute when I have more than one jobs. obviously interrupts are to be handled. So these are the different programs which are stored in the interrupt service routine. One by one I am going to handle. When I talk about interrupt, then I have to go for a kernel mode, right? So kernel mode is the one where you are going to execute the instructions with respect to the interrupt routine. Fine. So what are the things I have? Maybe you can assume that process D is one of the program which you are going to execute with respect to some external device, a printer. Process C is job with respect to some monitor. Process B with respect to some disk, something like that. So different processes I am going to handle. So you can assume that kernel mode will execute first process D, then I have memory which is available for process C. Fine. See here in between process C and process A, I have not used the term interpreter. Next, I have interpreter between process C and process B. So you can in between, before you complete C, process C, you can attend process B also. Fine. So that is how what is it? OS will handle different programs, multiple jobs. Fine.